All right, so you know those times in history when, like, the underdog totally flips the script?
Yeah.
Today, we're diving into one of those stories.
Okay.
And it all goes down in Africa.
All right.
We're talking about Ethiopia,
Fascinating place.
a nation that stood up to European colonialism during the scramble for Africa.
You basically said, like, not on my watch.
Exactly.
You got to admire that.
So we're going to be checking out this awesome YouTube video from Knowledge.
Right.
It's called, Why Wasn't Ethiopia Colonized?
Makes you wonder.
Right. And get this.
Hmm.
While the rest of the continent was getting carved up
Oh, yeah.
like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Like a big old feast for the Europeans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ethiopia was busy, like, leveling up.
Oh,
They were
nice.
consolidating power, modernizing their military, and playing some serious diplomatic chess.
Wow. So they were really a few steps ahead.
It's a wild story.
It really makes you rethink that whole idea that, European colonization in Africa was just this inevitable thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a simple case of, like, the big unstoppable force meeting the unmovable object.
Right.
There was strategy involved, cunning leadership.
Okay, so set the stakes for us.
Okay.
It's the late 19th century.
Right.
The scramble for Africa is in full swing.
Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
European powers are basically playing this high-stakes game of risk.
Yeah.
And they're dividing up the continent among themselves at the Berlin Conference.
1884 to 1885.
Yeah, that's the one.
It was like a giant game of risk, but the problem was the pieces on the board were actual people
real nations.
with lives and cultures.
And they were just deciding all this stuff like thousands of miles away.
Exactly. And that Berlin Conference,
Yeah.
it basically set the rules for how these European powers could just claim African territories.
With like zero regard for the people who actually live there.
Or the existing boundaries or anything like that.
It was a straight up land grab.
Pure and simple.
And yet right smack in the middle of all this chaos, you have Ethiopia holding strong. Yeah, they weren't just passively resisting, they were pushing back hard.
Actively resisting.
So what were some of those early signs that Ethiopia wasn't going to be an easy target?
Well, one early indicator was the First Italo-Ethiopian War,
Oh, yeah.
which kicked off in 1887.
Okay.
Italy, eager for a piece of that African pie.
They wanted in on the action.
They decided to make a move on the Ethiopian-controlled port town of Massawa.
Strategic spot.
They figured it'd be, an easy win.
A quick little victory.
But boy, were they wrong.
Because that's where we get the Battle of Dogali, right?
You got it.
Uh-huh.
The Italians, they were expecting this quick victory,
Yeah.
and they were met with this fierce resistance from Ethiopian forces.
Who was leading the Ethiopians?
A guy named Ras Salula,
Okay.
and they inflicted this stunning defeat on the Italians.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Sent a really clear message.
What was that?
Don't mess with Ethiopia.
So this wasn't just luck.
No.
It was a calculated move.
There had to be someone behind all this.
A mastermind.
And there was
Fills it.
Emperor Menelik II.
Okay.
He's absolutely central to this whole story.
This guy sounds important.
Oh, he was a brilliant strategist,
Mm-hmm.
a diplomat.
Hmm.
And he came to power just as all these external threats were getting really serious.
So the timing was impeccable.
You could say that
Yeah.
he knew that a divided Ethiopia would be easy pickings for these foreign powers.
Yeah, they could just swoop in and take over.
Exactly. So he starts consolidating his authority.
How did he do that?
Not through brute force, though.
Oh, interesting.
He was smart about it.
Yeah.
He formed these shrewd alliances, strategic marriages.
So he was playing the game.
Oh, he's a master chess player.
Okay, so he's unifying the country from the inside out.
Strengthening its core.
Knowing that a united front is the only way to stand up to these external pressures.
Like that old saying, united we stand, divided we fall.
That's impressive. But didn't he also sign a treaty with Italy?
You're talking about the Treaty of Wuchel.
Yeah, in 1880.
Yeah, that was an interesting situation.
What was that all about?
It's a classic case of, like, read the fine print.
Oh, boy.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
the fine print was deliberately misleading.
What do you mean?
So the Italian version of the treaty basically made Ethiopia an Italian protectorate.
So they were calling the shots?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker.
Okay.
The Amharic version.
The language spoken in Ethiopia.
Right. That version was way more vague.
Oh, so there were two different versions of the same treaty.
Exactly. With totally different implications.
That's messed up.
It was a sneaky move on Italy's part.
So Menelik II finds out about this discrepancy.
Yeah, and he's furious.
I bet.
He saw right through it.
Italy was trying to pull a fast one.
They underestimated him big time.
And Menelik II.
Well, he was having none of it.
So what do you do?
He denounced the treaty, flat out.
And that's when things really start to heat up.
Oh yeah, the tension was building.
So you've got this backdrop of escalating tension, a newly unified Ethiopia under Menelik II's leadership.
Yeah.
And this disputed treaty that's basically fueling Ethiopian nationalism.
It was a powder keg waiting to explode.
And that, I'm guessing, leads us to...
The Battle of Adwa.
That's the big one, right?
Oh yeah, that's the climax of this whole story.
You gotta hear about this.
Well, you have to wait till the next segment to really get into the nitty-gritty.
Oh, come on.
But I'll tell you this.
Okay.
The Ethiopians weren't just fighting for their territory. They were fighting for their survival as a nation.
It was about their identity.
Exactly. And that kind of determination is a powerful force.
You can't underestimate the power of people fighting for their very existence.
Absolutely.
All right, so we've got to take a quick break, but when we come back...
We're diving into the Battle of Adwa.
And see how this Ethiopian David managed to take down the Italian Goliath.
It's a story you won't want to miss. All right, so the Battle of Adwa, this wasn't just like some small fight.
Yeah.
This was a huge clash.
Okay.
A moment that really changed things.
So set the scene for us.
All right, so picture this. It's March 1st, 1896.
Okay.
Ethiopian highlands. It's misty, you can barely see.
Oh, wow.
And on one side, you've got the Italian army all decked out.
Yeah.
Latest rifles.
Yeah.
Artillery confident. You know, they think they've got this in the bag.
Because of their superior firepower.
Yeah, and their European tactics.
But on the other side...
You have the Ethiopians.
Okay.
A mix of warriors and volunteers. Many of them armed with swords and spears.
Really?
But they have this burning determination.
They're fighting for their homeland.
Exactly.
It sounds like a mismatch.
It did on paper.
So besides willpower, what did the Ethiopians have going for them?
Well, first of all, they had Menelik II.
Okay.
He wasn't just some leader sitting back giving orders.
He was in the thick of it.
Oh, yeah. He was out there leading his troops.
Wow.
Inspiring them.
And he was a smart guy, right?
Incredibly strategic.
So what was his play?
Well, he knew the Italians weren't familiar with the terrain, so he drew them deep into the highlands.
Oh, using the environment to his advantage.
Exactly. Classic guerrilla warfare.
But didn't Italy still have better weapons?
They did on paper, yes. But Menelik II had been secretly stockpiling modern firearms and artillery for years.
Where did he get those?
He was buying them from different European sources.
That's brilliant.
He even had some of those rapid-fire Hotchkiss guns.
Wow.
Those were brutal against the Italians.
So he was outsmarting them.
Oh, yeah. Playing 4D chess while the Italians were playing checkers.
I love it. Okay, so tell me about the battle itself.
It was chaos.
Really?
Close quarters fighting.
Nothing like those fancy European battles?
Nope. The Ethiopians used their knowledge of the land.
Okay.
Launched these surprise attacks.
Hit and run.
They disrupted the Italian lines, exploited their weaknesses.
This is amazing.
And in the end, it was a complete rout.
The Ethiopians won.
Oh, yeah. Decisive victory.
What happened to the Italians?
Heavy casualties forced to retreat.
I bet that sent shockwaves through Europe.
It did. It really challenged this idea of European invincibility.
Wow.
The world had to recognize Ethiopia
as a powerful force.
Not just some nation waiting to be conquered.
What happened after the victory?
Well, the Italians didn't have much choice but to negotiate.
Okay.
They signed the Treaty of Addis Ababa.
When was this?
October 1896.
And what did it say?
Formally recognized Ethiopia's sovereignty and independence.
A huge win for Menelik II.
It solidified his place in history.
As one of Africa's greatest leaders.
For sure.
So Ethiopia defended its independence, but the story doesn't end there, right?
No.
This victory must have had a huge impact on the country.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just a military win.
It was more than that.
It was a cultural and psychological turning point.
How so?
It gave them a sense of national pride and unity.
They'd proven themselves.
They showed the world who they were.
A nation with a rich history.
A unique culture.
An unyielding spirit.
Exactly.
What a story.
And it became a source of inspiration for generations to come.
So it wasn't just a one-time thing.
No, it was woven into their identity.
It gave them a sense of strength.
Resilience.
A belief in themselves.
Absolutely.
This is amazing. So we've talked about the military and the politics, but you mentioned that other things contributed to Ethiopia's success.
Right.
Like their geography and culture.
Yeah, those played a huge role.
Okay, I'm ready to get geographical.
All right, so imagine this Ethiopia is dominated by the Ethiopian highlands.
Okay.
These are rugged mountains, thousands of feet above sea level.
So basically a giant fortress.
Pretty much.
I see where you're going with this.
The Italians were totally unprepared.
For that kind of terrain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The high altitudes, the slopes, the narrow passes.
A logistical nightmare.
Especially for an army used to fighting in open European environments.
So the land itself was a weapon.
You could say that.
And what about the cultural side of things?
Well, Ethiopia has one of the oldest civilizations in the world. And that strong sense of cultural identity really united them.
They were fighting for something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, their way of life, their traditions.
Their very identity as Ethiopians.
And unlike many other African nations, Ethiopia had never been fully colonized.
So they had this spirit of self-reliance.
This belief in their ability to resist.
It's like this incredible combination of factors.
Yeah.
Strong leadership, a united people, a tough geography, and a resilient culture.
All working together.
It's truly remarkable.
It is.
But did Italy ever try to make a comeback?
Well, they did a few decades later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, during the Second Italo-Ethiopian War.
When was that?
From 1935 to 1941.
Okay.
This was under Mussolini.
Oh, wow.
He was all about expanding Italian power.
Yeah, trying to recreate the Roman Empire.
Exactly. So he wanted another shot at Ethiopia.
But they still faced resistance.
Oh, yeah, fierce resistance from the Ethiopians.
And what happened in the end?
Well, Ethiopia regained its independence.
Wow.
With help from the Allies during World War II.
So they never gave up.
Never.
This deep dive has been eye-opening.
It really shows you that colonialism wasn't just a straightforward story of domination.
Yeah.
There were stories of resistance and resilience.
Of people standing up for themselves.
Exactly.
Ethiopia's story is a powerful reminder of that.
It challenges us to look deeper.
To see the complexities.
And to remember that history is never just one side of the story.
Absolutely. All right, so before we wrap things up,
Yeah.
let's hear from you, our listener.
What are your thoughts on Ethiopia's story?
What parts resonated with you?
What lessons can we learn from their experience?
And how can we apply those lessons today?
To our understanding of history and the world around us?
We've explored so much.
The leadership of Menelik II?
The resilience of the Ethiopian people.
The importance of geography and culture?
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
It's interesting, isn't it? We talk about like turning points in history.
Yeah.
But Ethiopia's resistance, it feels different somehow.
It does.
Like it's this beacon shining a light on how complex colonialism really was.
It really makes you question those simple stories of, just domination and people being taken over, doesn't it?
Totally.
Ethiopia shows us that resistance could look like so many things.
Yeah.
And the outcomes, they weren't set in stone.
Not at all. So I've been thinking, how did this whole experience, this victory, shape Ethiopia's identity? Like in the 20th century and beyond.
Do you mean did it become a point of pride?
Exactly.
Oh, I think it absolutely did.
Really?
The victory at Adwa, it's like it became part of their DNA.
Wow.
It's in their art, their literature, music.
They teach it in schools?
Oh, yeah. It's passed down through stories.
So it's not just a historical event.
No, it's a living part of their culture.
It's like that underdog story, you know, that gets passed down through generations.
It shows them that anything's possible.
If you stand up for what you believe in.
Exactly. And I think it impacted their foreign policy, too.
How so?
Well, they resisted colonization. So they became leaders in the Pan-African movement.
They're helping other African nations.
Fighting for their freedom.
That's amazing.
It shows you the power of their story.
It goes way beyond Ethiopia.
It's a symbol of hope.
For anyone who's been oppressed.
Anyone who's fighting for their own destiny.
This story needs to be told.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just some historical footnote.
It's a testament to what humans can do.
When they face impossible odds.
When they never give up.
Exactly. I think this deep dive has really shown that.
It's important to remember that history isn't just facts and dates.
There's so much more to it.
It's about people and their stories.
Their struggles, their triumphs.
And we can learn so much from them.
Well said. And as we wrap things up, I want to leave our listener with one final thought.
Okay.
Ethiopia's story shows us that history isn't over.
It's still being written.
It's alive.
And it's shaping our world today.
So we need to engage with it.
Challenge what we think we know.
And search for those hidden stories.
The ones that can help us understand the past.
And build a better future.
Exactly.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
So to our listener, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.
And until next time.
See ya.